Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dustin, Berserker Bear, coming to you with another edition of Bushwhacking Tartaria with Berserker Bear. Today, we are at the First Presbyterian and Congregational Church, Buffalo, New York. I have some boots on the ground for you and a pretty cool story. My dad came along with me for the trip today, and on top of that, on top of my dad being there and pointing out some pretty cool, interesting things that I wouldn't have normally seen, we actually got invited to go inside from security guard who was doing his job, checking us out, taking pictures of the place, and came out and asked us what we were doing. And I told him, and he was gracious enough to let us go for a tour inside. And I didn't take any pictures inside, actually, but, out of respect. But there are some pictures on the websites that I'm going to read from. So, of course, I got boots on the ground for you. I hope the audio is a little bit better. And we're going to go over that. And we'll do some literature. And as we normally do with Bushwhacking Tartaria with Berserker Bear. So let's get into it. Here we go. Okay, what's up, everybody? Again, it's Dustin. This is another episode of Bushwhacking Tartaria with Berserker Bear. And we are at, as you can see, the First Presbyterian. So this is like the first congregation in Buffalo for a church. It was established 1812. Let's take a look at the pictures. So again, me and my dad were walking through this place. It was beautiful. And this is what it looks like on Google Earth when you pull up the pictures. We'll actually cycle through these before I get you the boots on the ground, because there's some. Now, I was right there looking at those, that beautiful organ. That's one organ they have in the old church, I guess. There's a couple different churches in this place, so we'll go through the. I'm going to read the literature. I'll show you the articles. Beautiful stained glass. I also got a pamphlet. This is right across the street from Kleinhand's Music Hall, which is also a very pretty building. Not as pretty as this one, though. Yeah, so we were in there looking, my father and I, at all this stuff. Very, very, very pretty. Old world, seemingly. Big tower. And I got, again, we're on the scene there with my dad. The first time that he came along with me for a bushwhacking tour, and we get to go inside. How cool can it get? So that's what you're getting for Google Earth, and this is where we are. Right now we're going to go over some. I got a video. We've seen that. This is the first religious body in Buffalo, organized February 2nd, 1812, as the First Presbyterian and Congregational Church. This building, dedicated May 6, 1897, First Presbyterian Church, Buffalo and Erie County, Historical Society, 1962. So we have pictures to go through. I'm going to read from the article, from the actual. This is the website of the actual church itself. So I think that's best to pull from initially. We'll do that. We have some. This is the article I like to use a lot, Buffalo as an Architectural Museum. I use it kind of as a syllabus for my work. Checkpoints, it's got a lot of lists of architectural gems here in Buffalo, and it has a lot of good articles as well. I might also read this one because the video that I have to go through. is quite long. It's about 9 minutes long, so I give you the 360. As we're doing the 360, I'll read these articles. I haven't read them yet. I'm kind of just shooting from the hip here. That's what I'd like to do a little bit more, maybe get you a little, again, like I said, quicker, maybe more between half hour and 45 minutes. And again, hopefully better audio. Sorry about that. Always have Wikipedia open as well. And yeah, here we are. So bushwhacking Tartaria. We'll also do some pictures up close and personal. So yeah, this will be the article that I'm going to read from. And we'll get some dates. I'll put all these in the description below so you can have everything that I had, and we'll just we'll do this together. All right, so let's get right into it. Here we go. This is the video of where I'm at. And again, I'm going to read from, now I'm here with my dad. You might see him might see that legend Viking in some shots and some video. So I am going to read from that article. Again, this is the article that's the church's website. You can go there, and it's the history portion of it. And here we go. Our earliest days, the First Presbyterian Church of Buffalo at One Symphony Circle is the home of Buffalo's oldest congregation and the mother church of several more. Founded on February 2nd, 1812 by missionaries to the Senecas and veterans of the Revolutionary War. It was incorporated as the First Presbyterian Society of the town of Buffalo, 1815. The founders were pioneers who had endured the lawlessness of the little settlement at Buffalo, complicated by the War of 1812, with battles raging on both sides of Niagara River and Lake Ontario. There are stories of suffering and heroism by the families and neighbors of First Church during the several years surrounding the conflict with Great Britain. One of the most recounted is that of Deacon Amos Callender, who escaped with the church records on horseback to Batavia as the British were burning Buffalo in January of 1813. I know the Black Rock got burned as well. So again, you can come in here and check this stuff out. I'm going to leave links for you. There's all these cool pictures also. Again, it's the story of the old parish being an old wooden thing, and then there's a old brick church. Not going to get too deep into do a deep dive into this literature. I'm just going to read it, and we're going to go from there. Again, I'm going to save those longer ones for more intermittent frequency, like I described last video. If you could hear me, again, sorry about that. Okay, so here we go. The congregation has known 3 homes. The first was a small lecture hall built in 1823 on attractive land located at Church Pearl and Main Streets at a cost of $874. Interesting. It measured 40 by 50 feet, was heated only by pans of coals brought in by parishioners. The first pastor was austere Reverend Miles P. Squire, who served the congregation from 1816 to 1824. After the Erie Canal opened, the village of Buffalo experienced an increase in population, resulting in an increased First Church membership. The second church, known as the Brick Church, okay, so this would have been the old school one, and then this was the second church, but it's kind of like gloss over how it opened up, I guess. The second church, known as the Brick Church, was built at Shelton Square in the current location of the Main Place Tower. Okay, maybe we'll look that up. It was dedicated in March 1827. It featured a clock and bell tower beneath the golden ball that blazed in the sun and served as a landmark for mariners. It was the largest church west of the Genesee River at the time. An architectural jewel. By the mid-19th century, business surrounded the brick church in downtown Buffalo. Many parishioners had moved to the outlying areas where the other churches had become established. Under the leadership of Reverend Samuel S. Mitchell, D.D., the trustees decided it was time to move. Not all members agreed, however, and the matter was eventually resolved in court. At that point, Mrs. Truman Avery donated the land at the corner of Pennsylvania Ave and Wadsworth Streets for the new building in memory of her parents, famed architect E.B. Green. Interesting. E.B. Green's is a famous restaurant, I believe. E.B. Green designed the magnificent building with its signature tower as the southern bookend of Richmond Avenue, mirroring the towers of the Richardson complex to the north. That's the insane asylum that I did for Halloween. Mirroring the towers of the Richardson complex to the north. Completed in 1897, the 168-foot tower continues to be... Okay, so the tower that's still there, that we see right there, continues to be one of Buffalo's architectural treasures. The overall form of the building on Symphony Circle is Romanesque and features a Medina sandstone exterior. The interior design of the sanctuary reflects a mostly Byzantine influence. Look kind of Moorish, I guess, if you will, but it's saying here Byzantine influence, while the chapel features an Anglican country tradition. The beautiful stained glass windows have been done by 4 different companies, most notably Tiffany. For more information on this, click here. Centuries of impact. For the past 200 years, First Church has inspired and guided the development and institutions and programs that have enriched the entire city of Buffalo. The Buffalo Female Academy, now Buffalo Seminary, and the First City High School, the Western Literary and Scientific Academy, were organized in part by the third pastor of First Church. See how the literature kind of gets confusing? That's why I always say it's kind of hard to pull out a timeline of all this stuff, because it's some numbers are written out, and it's just, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it is. It's a little bit, I don't say it's difficult, but it's a little bit confusing to pull it out. So it said, okay, the Western Literary and Scientific Academy were organized in part by the third pastor of First Church, Reverend Sylvester Eaton. The Visiting Nurses Association, now the largest home health service in Western New York, was started by member Elizabeth C. Marshall in 1885. In 1894, under the direction of Dr. Samuel S. Mitchell and with the cooperation of the Charity Organization Society, the church built and operated Welcome Hall. These names. On Seneca and Cedar Streets. Welcome Hall housed the congregation's refugee settlement and other mission projects until the city took it over during the Great Depression. Again, it sounds like a Father Baker narrative. What are refugee settlement from what? Maybe from the burning? But no, that's like the burning was earlier. Very interesting. Look at that picture. Welcome Hall. The 20th century saw growth for the congregation of the First Church, as well as for its mission locally, nationally, and internationally. In addition to their spiritual and leadership, that's for later. In addition, First Church, as well as for its mission locally, nationally, and internationally. In addition to their spiritual and administrative leadership, dynamic First Church ministries such as Reverend Ralph Blake Hinman, D.D., were integrally involved in Buffalo civic causes and social movements. The congregation of First Church, like its pastors, has always risen to the challenge, making the world a better place. From the financial support of medical mission in China in the early 1900s, through world wars and natural disasters to countless issues stemming from urban poverty, its faithful members have always responded to people in need. So that's a little brief history of the place, and now let's get into some of the gravy of these pictures. And I hope that was a cool walk around for you. Like as I was initially starting to do that, the security guard had come out and again was asking us what we were doing. He was just doing his job. And my father was talking to him because my father was in awe of everything. This is a building right next door. Let's see. So obviously you can see this is a radial pattern also in that street. But look at the build out on this building right here. See that? So that's where I am. And we'll just take you through some pictures here and see if you can't notice that this is definitely old world and seemingly out of place in an old neighborhood like this, even though it's seemingly out of place, and even though it's an old neighborhood. This thing looks like it could be in Europe somewhere, and my father said that for sure. So this building right here is what we're looking at in this picture. And look at that build out up there. And I was just showing my father how they layer that, it's they don't do that now these days. They definitely don't do it now. Like that. And the chimneys, what are these old world chimneys for, guys? They're all over the place. You're getting a kick out of this. Just these houses are all over Buffalo. Beautiful build out. This is the house right next door. I have an article also that says Buffalo has the highest index of the oldest houses that are built in the country, actually. So not only is the city of Buffalo, I thought that was cool, one of the best designed cities in the world, it has the oldest houses. Again, second, or two different foundations, two different building styles. It looks like I addressed in my last video. Brian Forrester, he says when you see buildings like that, it indicates different civilizations. So I wanted to point that out last video. I hope it wasn't lost in my shoddy audio, so I apologize again for that. So let's get back to the Presbyterian Church and some cool. What do we got here? What's that, bears? See that? Oh. Interesting, huh? Definitely copper downspouts, but again, old world here. Old world. Street level windows. Just look not right there. I wanted to get pictures with the snow so you can see how the melt would go right in there. And that as an architect, why would you do that? Why would you make it so that you have to account for it? That's why we say that these things look like they were mud flooded, or as I addressed before with the radial street pattern design, as in with the definition of a radial street pattern design, sometimes the topography is changed to make it the radial pattern stays symmetrical. So that indicates terraforming. But yeah, these are beautiful pictures. And if you notice, the actual... Now, I got these pictures from my boy, Mr. Brees. And this is an illustrated catalog, McFarlane's Castings. And these things are called terminals. Take a second to look at that and notice that it's a catalog. And again, Mr. Brees, a contributor at MeWe, commenter, a fellow researcher, sent this to me. And this is a little snippet from that catalog, and you can order these things effectively. Now, it says that they're castings, but they're either showing you different models that they can cast, or like Mr. Brees and I were talking about, with what we say that we found a lot of this stuff, or found these cities already done. Maybe these are all just things that they were found and they were selling them off and saying that they were making molds of them. Who knows? But that's something that we'd like to talk about further. I'd like to get Mr. Brees on a show with me because we have some really great ideas that will happen soon. It'll be just like a recording of one of our normal conversations that we have, because it's gravy for sure. So yeah, look at that. The terminal on this church is broken. We had a bad windstorm a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it's unfortunate that what we think is Antiquitech on this one is broke. So let's just go through and yeah, a little bit closer. So you know what? Anything that looks similar in this catalog to that one, maybe we can order one up. So we got two little spirals. So you can see it. I just wanted to show that there are catalogs where you can order, or there were at least. I believe that's a book. McFarlane's Castings. Very interesting. So yeah, my father was with me, and we initially had seen the security guard at first when I first got there. Pretty much, he came out and was, right on. He wasn't on top of us. Again, he was professional and very cool. Again, doing his job. And then I was doing my walk around. My dad was talking to him. My dad told me that he said when we're done, we're more than welcome to go inside. And I was like, ooh, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah, it was the first time that my father has come along with a berserker on a bushwhacking adventure. And there you go, right there. Good sense of scale. I wonder if I had that picture. It pops right there, actually. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful place. Unfortunate. So yeah, that's been up there broken for a couple weeks at least. And it's funny because one of the stories, I believe, from my St. Anne's bushwhack in Tartaria, they said they had to take the entire steeple down because the weather vane was broken. That's effectively what this is, the weather vane, or the terminal. And as you can see, as with these huge towers that are built by stone and brick, of course, because the weather terminal is broken, you got to take down the whole steeple. That's literally what the story said in the St. Anne's one. Now, as we were walking around, again, I'm glad that my father came by, because I'm getting the whole macroscopic view of everything, and he's looking at these carvings, and they're all faces. There's a lot of faces around this thing, and they're also on the inside architecture as well, and they're all different faces. And it reminded me of, I think, one of the places in Europe, maybe, or maybe even the Middle East, where there's like the city of 1,000 faces everywhere. And again, they're even up here as well. And they're all like looking out at you. I thought this was an interesting feature. because we have these old pictures here. Like, this says 1827 Old First, like the article says. But it doesn't look like it's, what we're looking at here. These are the pictures they have in the article for this First Presbyterian, it says up here. A lot of knocking down and a lot of maybe building around. Like I said, this is just a cursory search, and I'll leave everything available for you guys to do it as well. Kind of just putting it out there for us. I can always come back to it too and do a little bit more in depth. Church building number 2, 1827 Old First, 1851 bell. This is a cool picture. It's got the floor plan. And this says 1891, and that's the tower right there, obviously. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, yeah, let's see. Maybe it's the old front wall. Why would they just keep that portion, though? I don't get it. Like this wall right here, maybe? Obviously, that's probably what it is. I'm not sure why they would just leave that portion there, though. Thought it was odd. Anyway, yeah. So look at the build out up here. And again, my dad was pointing this stuff out. Like, they're all intertwined, and it doesn't look like runic, but it kind of has that similar fashion of Nordic runes. Of course, leave it to the Vikings to kind of make that association. But yeah, very cool. Just amazing build. And of course, there's no good construction pictures. Look at that. No. Seemingly that's one before the tower was built in 1891. And then you have the construction photo of the tower. Now, it very well could have been a construction photo, but sometimes I think that they're just not showing us the proper way and how they built these things, really. I think we certainly did have the capability of moving these stone. There's no railway here, but I think in some cases these pictures are faked because it's not that they were here. They may have been constructed, some of these ones. They just don't want us to know how. That's a possibility also. Certainly there's a possibility that they were here and we found them, because I think we have found a lot of them. I think some of them were constructed also. And the fact that these the pictures are smudged or vanilla sky, UAP, autodidactic, Martin, I think it's also to be hidden sometimes their construction methods. Like the Masons and stuff like that. Look at these old pictures, guys. It's phenomenal. Now this is one that I thought was the welcome hall. And look at how they have, see how it's like a shell. There's something built inside of it. But they never detail anything about that. Look at that. Welcome hall detail number 2. What's going on there, guys? Any ideas? I couldn't find a ladder in these ones, though. Shout out to UAP. But yeah, so you guys can come and take a look and tell me what you think. We'll round it out at MeWe, and I'll show you our website there. But this is a very cool place, and I was definitely boots on the ground here. We got some more for you. Keep it going. Yeah, look at that. So yeah, look at, these are all different, and also I got some more pictures of the faces. I think this apparatus is lights on the place, which is, I think, lights. Anybody have any gravy on that? I think it's ugly that they did that. I initially thought that was a fasces on the top. Does anybody have any idea what? I think Campbell was talking about this before, the shape of this, or maybe UAP was. But I thought it was a fasces at first, and I'm like, no, is that like a, or maybe it was Michelle Gibson. I'm not sure. I was like, is that an eggcorn or Michelle or a mushroom type shape? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. This place is super interesting, though. Look at that. So yeah, he had all these metal things around there. I didn't see anything that looked like lights, but I guess it could be what, because I think it is lit up at night, but it's just, that would probably can't be good for the surface. It could be, I think it probably increases erosion in the broken terminal. At that angle, it kind of looked like looks like Hogwarts again, Read that one. Are we all done? Yeah, I think we've seen all of these ones, huh? Now, I wanted to show you guys something. I don't think Moon Jazz Bear would care about this. So he's a very good researcher and a bear, Moon Jazz Bear, and he was doing some interesting stuff with shining a light through a prism here. And in with the whole radial street pattern design, notice something here. You see what it's making a circle, but it's also making, at certain points, it's making radial patterns. See that? There you go. And my note was it's making a radial pattern on the floor. So I wonder what you guys think about that. Let's watch it again. So he's shining a laser through a prism. And a prism effectively is like an obelisk standing on the floor. And it's actually he's shining it through in such a way where it's actually diffracting the laser and making circles on the ground around the prism. And at certain vertices of that circle, there are radiating points that radiate out in a radial pattern. And it struck my eye because of the radial street pattern designs. Now, could the Lechtenberg event have actually seared? I wonder where they get these radial patterns from. Could that have seared? Not only could it have created the electrical patterns that we were talking about with Campbell, could it have also seared the radial street pattern designs into the terra firma? Now, I'll also watch this one. And I will sand on a vibrating plate and watch what it does. This is Moon Jazz Bear. Does these experiments. He's legend. 33 Illuminati cycles per second. Hilarious. What do you guys think? What do you see here? Anything? Some gravy for you. Flo. So I'd like to get him on and talk with Moon Jazz Bear because he's got some very good research there. Not only with the prisms and the radials, but with cymatics and vibrations. He's very hip to it for sure. That was kind of a weird segue into that, but I wanted to get that out there, and I think I'm going to talk further with it about that with Campbell, because I did send that to Campbell at Autodidactic, and we're going to talk about that. So those were the pictures, and that was a little bit of the research for the First Presbyterian Church here. I'm going to I'll put these articles here, and so you can see these pictures and go over it yourself like I just did, and see the anomalies for yourself. And also, I like to, again, plug our group over here at MeWe. You can get to it from my YouTube page, and I will also show that. Sorry about the audio if it's a little shaky. Okay, so here's my YouTube page, Bushwhacking Tartaria with Berserker Bear. Top Rocker will take you to our Realm Earth research group, where again you have to apply. I want to weed out the people who aren't 100% down for the cause, but we have again almost 800 people. You can upload your videos to our main research timeline. Pictures you take in your city, if you have interesting similar stuff. Members, if you have any questions, I'm an admin. Campbell made this place from Autodidactic. Calum is admin. Muddy May is an admin. Also good researchers. They'll have answer any questions that you have. Please go check us out. Again, you can get there by going to my website. Top Rocker, bottom right, will take you here. And you got to apply. I'll usually accept you. But we want to network the realm, and we could do it here. You could put your, again, pictures, videos, or you can just peruse and look at what we have. A lot of people post a lot of cool stuff. Old world, truth drops in Disney. This is my post, actually. So, keep it professional, keep it above board. If you're going to drop a video from YouTube, please put a brief description of what it is. I really ask and appreciate that you do that. And, let's network the realm and try to find the old world. Could be out your door. Okay, so that was another edition of Bushwhacking Tartaria. I'll be back again, and hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll report back. Take care.